Oh, can a $27 coffee maker stand up to those that are $900? We're going to explore that a little bit in today's live stream. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee Q&A here on the Onocoffee channel. We do this live stream if you're just joining us for the very first time, most weekdays, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So how you all doing? Welcome back. Good to have you. Good to have you. Had a little bit of technical questions that I was trying to work out before we started. So hope everything's going well for you. So today we've got, after yesterday's live stream, I was thinking, maybe we should explore something else with this. Keone, hello to you. Craig, how you doing? Kent, good to see you. Good to see you. So today we're going to go a little bit downscale than what a lot of times we talk about here. And we're going to play around with this. The Mr. Coffee 12 cup. Now, if you grew up in the United States, especially in the era that I did, which is around the 70s and 80s, there was a version of the Mr. Coffee that was ubiquitous, and everybody seemed to have it. And Mr. Coffee still goes today. I mean, it is probably the most popular coffee brewer in America for the last several generations. And it's really interesting of a story, the whole thing behind it. Like yesterday, I mentioned this video by a guy named called Technology Connections. And if you, I put the link again down below, and that video kind of talks about the early generation of the Mr. Coffee brewing systems, which is actually very different than the one that we have here today. So it's just I think it's just a fascinating thing about coffee brewing technology that I think you might find interesting. And so these Mr. Coffees are newer generation, and they feature that thermoblock kind of heating system that we talked about yesterday. And the thing about this is that it definitely mass market. This I bought at Target. When I bought it at Target, it was a lot cheaper because I bought it maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And it's just been sitting in the box, really. I think I opened it once. Maybe I brewed with it once, and then I haven't used it since. But I bought it because I was planning to do a video, and it just never got around to doing it yet. But this at the time was like $20. And now today you can go to Amazon to Target.com and find it for $27. So it's still very, very reasonably priced coffee brewer for your home. Makes 12 cups, so like 48 ounces. So it's pretty large of a brewer. And I've been wondering how good a brew can it make at scale. So we're going to look into that today and see how's it going. Mom, how are you, man? Good to see you. Oh, Impulse, good to see you, man. Good to see you. So let's have a look here. I'm going to plug my computer in. Actually, let me pull up the Mr. Coffee. I'm going to go here to their website. Let's look at some of the details from their website. Once it comes up on the switcher. All right, here we go. So we've got Mr. Coffee. You know, as much as I've been in the coffee business and, we're all about quality, I have a very hard time hating on the Mr. Coffee. I mean, we'll presume that it's going to make, poor quality coffee or whatever. But you know what? If you grew up, like I said, if you grew up here in America, like there's something special. Uh-oh. Come on now. Maybe I need to stop. Okay, there we go. I was kinking. My connectors are like wonky because I'm buying them too cheap. All right, let's see here. Brew a large pot or carafe. This is going to give us 10 plus cup coffee. Maybe Mr. Coffee's got a whole huge selection. And they've got some stuff here, 12 cup programmable coffee makers, 3 ways to brew, all these different models. And they cost more. I don't recall how much. Like this one here, stainless steel, 10 cup programmable. Like, look at that. That looks like it's going to be expensive. I don't know if they put prices on here, but let's have a look here and see what they might have for pricing. Boos is with us. Good to see you. Naomi, hello. Power Plant is back. Good morning to you. Liking Mr. Coffee is how parents love their program. Yeah, you have to love it. You have to love it. If you grew up in America at my time, you have to love it. Or how Americans like the Oxford. Russell, good morning to you. Where to buy? Okay, so it doesn't have a price, but we're going to presume, because look at this. It has those two spouts that looks like it's one of those. We're putting in one of the. It must. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Forget it. It's a 10 cup. So who knows? Where to buy it? Let's see where to buy. Kroger, Walmart. Yeah, but give me a price. I forget it. We're not going to. What we're going to be looking for is, so they've got the one that we're going to be using today is not a programmable one like this. This is the bare bones hardcore model here, like this one, programmable 12 cup. Here a simple brew. I think that's the one that looks very simple. Mr. Coffee Simple Brew 12 cup switch coffee maker. Yeah, that's what you want. This one will not do anything special. It will just brew coffee at the press of a switch and do it very economically. 25 inches for the cord length, 5 pounds. Let's see what they say. Classic functionality keeps brewing simple and easy. Just set it up, turn it on, and brew. Perfect. Rich taste coffee expertly brewed for you without the fuss. Grab a cup auto. Pause is a lifesaver when you need a cup before the brew cyclist. Okay, well, look for that. I think that's just a valve, right? It stops brewing so you can pour rich tasting cup and then finishes the brewing cycle after you place the carafe back in position. Oh, that's a bad idea. We put our best brewing forward in this easy to use, simple brew coffee maker. Experience the taste with Mr. Coffee brand. Nice. Grab a cup of coffee, pause, dual water window. Ooh, dual water window. See exact water level as you see fit. Power on, off, lift, clean, filter basket. Okay, easy cleanup. Good. Okay, so let us have a look at this Mr. Coffee. I'm actually quite excited to play around with this a little bit. I know Anton is probably, and Power Plant are both like, why have you brought this to this palace? So like the Olsen that we had yesterday, this kind of I don't know what they call this, coroplast, something like that. And not coroplast, that'd be plastic. But this is a really, this paper kind of product. But I think these work very well as far as isolation for. Oh, it is a bit dusty. Look at that, a little bit dusty. This was sitting out for a while at the old roastery, and it just kind of. Okay, so here, look inside. So inside here, important safety precautions. We've got a little packaging thing here. Oh, look at that. Water filtration disc. So I don't know where that goes. So the shower head here moves back and forth. Maybe the water filtration disc goes down. No, that wouldn't make any sense. Somewhere the water, we can read. We can read and see where water filtration goes. So here's our basket. Do I have the right basket? So this has the flat bottom basket, right? Like a Kalita. Look at that. That's very Kalita. Kalita ripped them off, Mr. Coffee, with the flat bottom basket. And then the big carafe. All right. So very, very simple. Not too much to see or really to think about. Oh, we don't have any. Oh, I have Kalita filters. We have Kalita. I think that'll work. Let's see. What are these filters? I'm pretty sure that these are Kalita filters, but they've been sitting around for a long time, so they've kind of pancaked out a bit. That's just so sad. That's just sad. Okay, let's get our basket. We're going to get our basket. Will that work? That's too flat. Let's go to the bottom-ish one. Man, this is going to hold 12 cups worth of coffee? Okay, that works, I think. Maybe. It'll work enough. It'll work enough. Powerplant says the cutest coffee machine is the Aroma Boy from Melita, Japan. It makes barely a small cup of coffee. I almost got one from Hard Off, but got that Jizoji instead. I don't know what Hard Off is, but it doesn't sound very Christian. By the way, Hard Off is a cousin of Book Off. Oh, okay, there we go. A chain of used goods stores in Japan. You know, you never know in Japan. Like one day I was walking through Don Quixote, which is if you're not familiar, Don Quixote is this very popular touristy store that has all kinds of stuff. It's pretty like crazy, but the prices are very good, and you can buy all kinds of stuff. One thing that I will encourage you: if you go to Japan, if you go to Tokyo, and you want to go to a Donki, don't go to the mega Donki. Like there's a few of them that are megas that are super huge, especially like the one in Shinjuku. Don't go to that one. It's just madness. And I never go there. My sister-in-law was like, we went to the one in Shinjuku, and I was like, that was a mistake. She's like, it was a total mistake. And they were there in the middle of summer, so it was like super humid and hot and smelly. And she was like, oh, God. And it's so packed with tourists. I usually go to the one that's tucked underneath the freeway in the southern portion of Ginza. It's actually right around the corner from Cafe del Hombre, but I go to that one. It's smaller, and then usually, since a lot of times lately, I've been staying in Shibuya. I've been staying in Shimbashi or Ginza, which is like walking distance. And the hotel I've stayed the last couple of trips is like 2 blocks away. So I'm just walking there like in the middle of the night because it's open 24 hours. But just as a thought. So, so as I was at one of my early trips there, I was like walking through. They have all kinds of stuff, alcohol, flavored Kit Kats, luggage. I buy all the luggage that I buy there. Like if I need a big bag, it's like $80. I just buy the cheap one and, fly home my stuff. But, you walk into there's a section you walk in, you're like, oh, this is the adult section. And it's quite kinked out, which is why the Hard Off makes me a bit excited. But Craig says, run a brew cycle through it before. Okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. We should do that. Of course, I only have so much water, but we will do that. Okay, let's put we'll put whatever water we have left in here. Now, how you fill this out is, wow, you really can't see. It's like black, like Darth Vader in there. Like you can't see anything. Let me get the light. Okay, so there it is. Done. So we're going to put some water in here. I don't know how much water there is. And where's my other kettle? All right, this is a lot of our leftover water. Okay, we're going to try. Oh, man, that's right. 25-inch cable means that it's just too far away. Gosh. 25-inch cable. 2-foot cable. Ideal for use in a kitchen counter, like under your cabinetry, but not so ideal for what we're doing here. All right, now I need to do this whole rigmarole again. Oh, that's even worse. All right, you're gonna have to trust me on this. Turn the switch on. Can you see that switch? You can barely see the switch. There's the switch. What's happening? I'm gonna run some water through it, and like Craig says, I think that's a good idea because yesterday's brew I didn't run any water through it, and I could see as it was boiling. Actually, I probably could have done it here because I can't see that. So in the Olsen Simply Good, it's a clear brewer, like it is with the Technivorm Mocha Master. So you can see everything that's happening. You can see the water boiling through the stem. You can't see that here because it's all fully enclosed in opaque plastic. So, it's probably fine. But like I said, these new systems have a heater block that the water from the reservoir falls into, and it superheats just a few millimeters of water at a time. And at the bottom of the stem that goes up, right? There's a stem that goes up here. And what happens is that it pushes it up. I don't know if you can see that there. Now you can't see that. It pushes it up and up through the stem and then comes out the spout. And then the spout, of course, falls down onto your coffee bed, and then it flows down into your coffee carafe, which works very efficiently. It's actually quite an interesting design. I'm not sure how other companies, and that's basically what Mr. Coffee, I think they even pioneered, but even that uses this system, and it looks like it's coming up fairly hot. In many respects, if the water is boiling at the bottom of the stem, which is down about here, let's say it's about here, and it's traveling up and over, I wonder how much temperature it really could lose, especially as the brew progresses and the pathways are warmer. Now, maybe if you had all metal pathways and insulated pathways, that would hold the temperature better, where these are, I'm sure, all plastic, and that must have some kind of effect. I don't know. Well, that's driving along. Let's have a look at Kenny says, it's so interesting. I remember old school siphon and percolator and early coffee machines like Mr. Coffee. So much has changed. It's true, so much has changed. But really, in many respects, nothing has changed that dramatically. I think that we're still making coffee in ways that are, while technology has advanced, are we really making coffee with any of the brew methods significantly different than the past? I don't know. I mean, maybe the AeroPress was a definite jump forward, like the espresso machine. It could be that maybe the OXO could be that too. I don't know. It is taking a long time for what is relatively small amount of water compared to the relative size of the brewer. But you can hear it. It's all kind of angry boiling. You know what I should do? If the brewer can't come to the camera, we should make it so that the camera can go to the brewer. Oh, that's a little bit better. Maybe one day when I have a real channel, we can have, look at that. That's a lot of heat. Oh, now it's just blowing steam because it's still heating. Yeah, it's still going. Now, with these type of brewers, you want to turn off the brewer, because if you watch the Technology Connections video, one of the things he points out is that in the old days of the Mr. Coffee, this heated plate was wired from whatever internals, and you could just cut them and you could shut that off, so you could leave it running and you wouldn't get the heating effect from the plate. In modern machines like this, you cannot do that. They're actually all integrated. And actually, I think maybe the water goes through the plate somehow. It's been a while since I saw the video, so I don't quite remember. All right, so we've got some coffee or water that's been boiled. We're going to dump that out. And dumping is nice because it has a little thumb hold here, so you can just kind of, All right, now before we begin, what we're going to do is we're going to do some testing. We want to see how much water this carafe really holds. It says 12, and typical manufacturing for the US will rate 1 cup at 4 ounces. So theoretically, it's 48 ounces. But I like to check just to make sure so that when we do our ratios for the coffee, we'll know what we're doing. So let's put this back here. We're going to put this on the scale now. And now we're going to use the cold water that we're going to use for the brewing. There we go. 0 grams. Great. We zeroed that out. Let's put that in here. I've got some water. And I'm going to pour that in. Oh, we need ounces, don't we? I can't do that because I'm going to tear it out. 34 ounces. There we go. I'm going to fill it now to the 12 mark on here. Okay, 12. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Did anyone happen to see what it was before it maxed out? Thanks a lot there. You gotta be kidding. You suck. "42 ounces. So what? It was 46 ounces at the max? 44 ounces max. What? How much is that in grams? Man, it's not even 2,000 grams. Okay, I'm a little bit. We've never really have to go to this point, but now that we do, normally I use 2,000 to 3,000 gram scales that are $40, $50, and they're scientific scales, so they're fairly accurate. This is very, very irritating. Okay, so we've got 1,237 grams, which is 43 ounces. So 44 ounces, 8 cups. Let's see, 44. Let's see, 44 divided by 8. 44 divided by 8 is 5.5. 5.5 ounces per cup. What? So 6 ounce. So they're using 6 ounce cups. Okay, we're gonna stop there. We're just gonna use this 44 ounces, and we're gonna see. Let's bring it. I can't bring it to 44 because it will totally max out. Well, I guess if it says max, then that means that we have reached 44. Right? That makes 44.08. This is my thing, right? I would prefer, like this has, on ounces, it has a point, has a 100th of an ounce. I give a rat's butt about this kind of granularity for ounces. How much? I mean, here we're only talking 12. We're only talking whole rounded grams. We're not even talking tenth of the grams anymore. So, what use is a scale that doesn't have 2,000 grams capacity and it doesn't have any granularity? All right, I'm a little bit irritated. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our water and we're going to pour it in here. We've got, according to this, it's 8 cups. So 8 cups. I just want a reason to bitch, I guess. Also, one thing about these is there is a little bit of water now on the surface of the heater. It's probably a better idea to remove that moisture as much as possible, because otherwise you just get boiling. It just starts to boil underneath the kettle, and it'll eventually boil away, and then you have calcium deposits and all this, hardness that you just don't have any good use for. So 44 grams, 44 ounces. So 2 grams for every finished ounce. So 44, 22 grams. No, that's not right. 2 grams for every finished ounce is 88 grams. Gosh, 88 grams of coffee that we're going to use. Russell says that my wife is a big fan of Book Off. There isn't a hard off in the Book Off. What is this going on here? DJ says that Shinjuku has an older one that is less crowded. Might actually be the original. And there are quite a few donkeys here. Oh, are they really killing? Oh, that's. And the one in Shinjuku is only one floor. Ah, okay. I think there's a mega one though there, isn't there? I remember seeing it. Like if you walk out of Shinjuku Station and you're walking like towards the Golden Guy, like towards Central Tokyo instead of away from Central Tokyo, like I remember seeing one of the mega. I was like, oh God, that does not look like a fun place. Fun place for me. Used stores in Japan only accept very good condition things. Sorry. A lot of the used goods stores in Japan are great for buying designer luxury goods if that's your bag. Is that part of the whole? But they only accept very good condition things. That's a good thing because sometimes, I do go to thrift stores and like Goodwill and these other stores that sell stuff just because I'm just interested to see what they have. For the most part, most of the stuff at these places are in fairly good, at least the stuff that makes it to the floor, and is usually in pretty good condition as well. My local used goods store has a beautiful date just that I have been, so I don't think we're going to find a date just at any Goodwill, at least that I've been to. We have a place called the Restore that's run by Habitat for Humanity, and there's one in my area, and they sell used tools, and some of it are old and kind of janky and maybe busted, but there can be good deals. But the problem is the guys that are pricing them, like they got piles of stuff, and it's like, you need to price this better because nobody's buying it because you're just asking way too much money. Like you need to fire sale price those things and just move them. Because who cares if you can get $30 out of it, maybe in 2 years, when you get $5 right now and get it out of your way. 2 reasons, says Craig. 1, because you haven't used the brew in a long time. And 2, brewing some water just before actual brew will increase the brew temperatures at the beginning of the actual brew. Good idea. Perfect. I would prefer that you were just trying to protect my health from yesterday's fiasco. Powerplant says preheat by another name is time to bend the scale. It is time to bend this scale. What did you think of the Strange New Worlds finale and season overall? I thought that it was, I don't know what I think. Because you know what? If I think about the episode and I watched it on Friday, I don't really remember what happened. Like, what was the episode about? I'm a big fan of Laan Noonien Singh. I'm a big fan. Ever since she made her appearance in Doctor Who many, many years ago, like she was one of the soldiers of the silence. Is that right? The soldiers of the silence? Like I remember her, Christina Chung. I was like, ooh, that girl is just beautiful. Who is that? She was the one that gave River her name. Because she wove it on this little piece. And I was like, oh. So she's super huge part of the lore. And I remember, I liked it when Pelia was like, was that this episode or the last episode? She was talking about how she remembered something about a reminder of the time she traveled with a doctor. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Actually, they've done a lot of funny things. In Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh, there's a sandwich shop called Primanti Brothers. And they're down in the old meatpacking district, and the original locations there, and now they're wild. They're pretty popular. They have a lot of locations, very commercialized, like a TGI Fridays. And their thing is to make sandwiches and put French fries in the sandwich, right? And so it's a Pittsburgh thing. And I was laughing because when I first heard, like, it was a couple episodes ago when they had the problem, when they had to become Vulcans, right? And they go to this planet, and Una Chinrali is like, we've arrived at Permanti 3. And I was like, Permanti 3? And then later in the episode, she talks about, the people of the planet love to put French fries in sandwiches. I was like, you guys are these writers are so corny, man. They're so corny. I love it. I love it. But you know who else I love? I love the other navigator that sits next. I've probably said this already because I think I remember we talked about this in the chat. That sits next to the pilot. Why do I always have Melissa Nava? I keep forgetting her like character name, but I'm always happy to see like Jenna Mitchell. That's her character, right, in the show, and I'm always like, Ro Fung, I think is her name. Wrong Fu is her name, and I'm always like, all right, the Asian girl is back, and she was at the very last episode, the very end. I was like, good. I like to see that representation. Power Princess, I thought it was pretty great. Not the strongest season, but pretty great. Maybe a 7, 8 out of 10. Yes, there's definitely Maga says impulse. I do think that we should start brewing, right? But I do think that it may not have been. Well, I don't even know. We've only had 2 other seasons, so is it that strong? For me, it's always like, I'm happy to have Trek than no Trek, right? I'd rather have Trek than no Trek. So I don't mind it. And, now I've boxed myself into a corner with this whole thing over there. Okay, we need to have coffee. So we need 88 grams. Where did my coffee measure? Here, coffee measure. Let's make some coffee here before we forget. Okay, so grams, we need 88. 88 grams of coffee. But I just like it. I like to have Trek. I know a lot of people hated Discovery, but you know what? Had it not been for Discovery, we probably would not have the current slate of shows that we've been enjoying for the last couple years now, 3, 4, 5 years. So I'm not against it. 65, we need another 23 grams. I'm going to start grinding that at the medium setting. And I can't get to it. A little bit more. DJ April says it's right in the middle of Shinjuku. That's the one my sister-in-law went to. They went there, and she said it was terror. She said it was the worst. I was like, oh god, it looks like the worst. I've only walked by it. There's a great little ramen shop in Golden Guy. Now, what's the name of it? They actually use anchovies, I think, as the base of their soup. It's really good. It's really good. It's really tiny too. It's upstairs in that old section that looks like Midnight Diner, and you go there. And I remember the one time I went there, the seat they had was all the way in the back, and it was totally this little tiny wedge, I just wedged myself in there and had this ramen. It was really good, really, really good. All right, let's see. We've got a lot of. This coffee's way too much. I don't know if this is even going to work. Well, it's going to okay, so here's our problem. We're going to overflow the basket because we're using proper ratios. I think it'll probably overwhelm the basket. I will not be surprised if we start to, the basket starts to overflow. But you know what? That's what we're here for. We're here to see what happens and put this in. There is a tab right here. There's a little notch for the tab, and then you slide this. You can't really see it too well, but this shower head slides over. One thing you could do is you could just heat it, and if you forget to push the shower back over the coffee, it'll be over the reservoir, so it'll just kind of cycle through. And I guess you could heat the water indefinitely. I wonder if we preheated the water. Maybe that could be a strategy. If you do that, push this over here so that as they hit the brew cycle, because I don't think it stops brewing until you turn off the switch. So you could preheat the water, and maybe that'll give better results. Okay, we're gonna find out. At least we're gonna try this today, maybe in the future. So make sure you push this back. Otherwise, you're not making any coffee. And we're gonna get our timer. We want to see how long it's going to take us to make coffee, 8 cups today. All right, we turned it on. Timer's running. I'm going to put this in the bin. Best time to go to Mega Donkey is between 6 to 9. It's so crazy to go there. What if I can adjust this camera to rotate? Can it rotate? Can it rotate? Yeah, that'll work. That might work. Okay, this is not going to be perfect, but it will give you a little bit of a view as the. So here's one of the problems with these type of brewers is that it's got a very concentrated shower head. So as you can see, all of this is still very dry. Now, I'm not going to do any manipulation. And one of the things that maybe, if we close the lid, it would trap any of the steam that's coming out like that, right? So it maybe that helps to, I don't know, give condensation and moisture to this other part of the coffee bed. Well, let's do that. Let's close that, and then we'll come back and check on it periodically as we go. We're a minute 30 into the brew cycle. Now, ideally, when you're brewing coffee, it should do it in like 5 minutes. 4 minutes better, but I don't think we're going to be there. I think this is going to take quite a long time to do that. Keone says, I like the season of Strange New Worlds, although canon was a bit stretched at times and changed at others. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know canon enough to know when they do that. Like I realize, for me, the canon that I know is that at some point, a lot of these characters are part of the TOS stories. So you have to kind of work within whatever TOS is established. And I don't know TOS very well. The only Star Trek series that I actually know pretty well is Voyager. Like I watched Voyager religiously in like the 90s. But TOS I watched when I was a child, and I don't really know all the storylines. Like for me, the Trouble with Tribbles was the best episode of TOS, and I love watching that. But I don't know. I'm a little bit, it makes me a little bit sad because we have some characters like Melissa Navia's character and what's her name? Anjani and Singh, and some of those people will be Peleo. We know will be gone in just a little while. Oh, that's what I remember now. So it was when the guy came back, the evil guy, and Captain Patel. Is it Patel or Batel? P or B? Like I'm always like, what is the name? And then she became the guardian, and she was gone from Chris's life. That was sad. It's like, it was nice that it's kind of nice that they gave her that ending, like where you could see they had a life together. I don't know if that's a good thing, right? Like, I was thinking about that, and now that I remember, So I remember watching the episode, and I was like, what's going on here? He didn't get maimed. He has children. They had a life. They get married, and the kids get married, and that's great. And then they go back. I was like, oh, okay, you kind of knew that was going to come, but I don't know. Like, is that worse? Right? Like, you lose the woman that you love. You lose her either way, right? You lose her. She becomes this guardian, and she stays with these guys, guarding these guys for eternity, essentially. You'll never see her again. Total loss, which is a terrible thing. But now you get to live a life with her, or theoretically they lived all those years together. And then you wake up and it didn't exist or it doesn't exist again. Oh man! And you've had that whole life together, that love, that sharing. I feel like that's worse. Like I feel like if I had to come back from that, like I'd be like crushing, like cry, like I don't know, man. No wonder he doesn't say hit it at the end of the episode. All right, 5 minutes now, and let's have a look and see where we are. Did that help to? No, it's still very dry here. So we're getting under extraction. Now there's ways around that. Like we could move this around a little bit or stir it or do something to, make it better. But that's not what we're going to do today. We're just going to let it do its thing and see what happens. Now, one of the things that is nice about, that I'm surprised about, is that we put 88 grams of coffee there. So as you can see, it's almost completely filled. It's filled the basket a good 80% of the way. So, and we're only at 8 cups. So there's another 4 cups in here. We would have to fill this very, very high in order to meet our brew ratio for 12 cups. But the thing is that the way that it's dispensing the water, and I guess also our coarseness of grind, has not caused it to fulfill. Now we could pull this. What we could do is we could pull this, and it will close the valve that is in there, and we could build up. Yeah, you can see it just the coffee bed just moved a little bit. Build up the saturation in here. Now, for those of you who are watching that may be watching from outside of our usual sphere of regulars, and you like to use these type of brewers, and you routinely will brew coffee and then remove your carafe in the middle of the brew, that's probably a bad idea because your brew ratio, your coffee hasn't totally given all of its flavor, and you're getting stronger coffee than you would, more unbalanced coffee than you would have had you waited for a while. So that's pretty good. It has that valve, so you can let's see if we can get. I would like to get the water saturated, the coffee saturated. One of the problems, though, is that it's this basket. I think there's a larger chamber around it, so I think it might just fill that chamber. Oh no, it's actually filling up. You can see there's a little bit here. It's just slow to fill because I guess the volume of the basket and then the volume of water that comes through. It's only a couple millimeters at a time. All right, so we've got good saturation there. So now I'm going to put this back. And it drains fairly fast, but that might give us a little bit of a boost as far as flavor extraction there. Alpine says, the only real criticism I had was Welsh was more focused on episodic adventures. Understood. The finale was about the returning eyeless nurse as a reincarnated alien who wanted to release all his buddies from alien jail. Yes, it took me a while to remember that, but thank you. Cutie says, some of the Donkey stores are open 24 hours. The one at MBK Mall is my favorite. You can get great luggage and high-end knockoffs at MBK. Oh, I'm going to have to go check that out the next time I'm there. One time I bought a watch. Nice, knockoff watch. Great. It looked awesome. I was like, oh, I'm all like... And then one day I was going through security and I must have dropped it or bumped it or put it in the basket. And then the bezel came off. And I was like, the bezel came off. Powerplant says, Picard season 3 was very good. And it was a reunion of the old TNG cast members. But Picard and 1 and 2 are tough. That's the thing. I was not a TNG person. I would watch it once in a while back then. But to me, TNG was not... I wasn't as enamored with TNG as most people are. Actually, for the longest time, I hated Riker. I hated Riker with a blind passion because I watched Enterprise and I loved Enterprise. And the finale of Enterprise was basically a Riker re-simulation. I was like, oh, I hate you, Riker, with a passion of thousand blinding suns, right? Like I just hated it, right? My anger was so intense that I hated even Jonathan Frakes. Like anytime I saw that he was directing, I was like, that guy should be transported out of here. Right? And for me, I liked Picard season 1 and 2 because it was a deviation from TNG. And I'm sure that part of the reason that you loved season 3 was that it was the reunion style thing. Like, I didn't care, honestly, I didn't care about the reunion. Like I think that for me personally, it detracted from it. It's like, I was like, oh God, come on, guys. Like, this is just, I like the fact that they stole the Enterprise from Dry Dock. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Anytime you do like rogue stuff like that, I'm game for it. But, I don't know. But in Picard, like, so I hated Riker all the way through to Picard. So when Riker came in, was it season 1 or maybe season 2 when he came with the Armada to rescue Picard? Okay. And when they went to see him at his cabin with him and Marina Sirtis, I was like, that's when I started to warm up to Riker. So now I'm okay with Riker. But I was like, but back then, man, for like the last 20 years, I just had this blinding hatred. Or maybe because Enterprise came out 20 years ago. So, and I think Enterprise was a horrible. The finale was one of the worst finales out there. Some of the worst. Good morning to you, Paige. Kenny says, Discovery allowed a new introduction of Pike, which was instrumental in developing this. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I remember, I met Anson Mount right after, I think it was that Discovery. Was it season 2 that he came on? And I met him at a con here in Baltimore, actually right down the street from my house. And so that took about 11 minutes for the brew. The brew's over. Let's turn that off. We don't want to keep that running. And yeah, he told us then, he was like, yeah, man, looks like we're going to come out with another series. And it's, because I like Anson Mount. I liked him a lot. And I like him as a person, in person, really nice, really cool person to talk to. Actually, a lot of the newer cast, and I'm going to say this in a way that sounds like the older cast members are not friendly, but that's not true. But I think the newer ones, like Anson Mount, are very personable. I've also met Tony Newsom, very, very personable, really, really easy to like have a conversation with. So those are fun. Those are fun people. Paige says, I'm having Ethiopian from my favorite roasters. Lots of pineapple in the profile. Awesome. It is Battelle. Okay, Battelle. I was wondering because I kept thinking Patel. I was like, is she supposed to be Indian? Patel? Russell says, back in the 70s, there was a store in Berkeley called the Federation Trading Post. I remember they had a barrel of tribbles near the cash. Oh, that's awesome. There's a store somewhere, and I've seen it. I've just not thought too much about what it is. But evidently, it's in a mall somewhere, and they have like all these Star Trek uniforms. I was like, oh, I need to go there and get one. But I've been wanting to make the lower decks uniform. And actually, before I say that, I remember one time I was at one of the Star Trek cons. There's one called Shore Leave that happens in the summertime. I didn't go to it this year because they moved it to York, Pennsylvania. Used to be right here in near where I live, so I'm like super easy to go to. But I remember one year I went there and I saw this couple, and you guys, especially you, PowerPoint, would like this. This couple, nice looking couple, they were wearing it was from one of the movies, but the TNG movies. So it had the gray kind of like a little bit softer looking, not the cat suit, but the softer gray uniform, and they were matching uniforms. I was like, that's what I want in life. That's life goals there. To be able to go with your partner to sci-fi cons and cosplay it up would be pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty fun. But the Lower Decks is one of my favorite ones. And so like, I've been thinking, I would like to make a Lower Decks uniform. And I was thinking about how to make it. And then when they did the live action with Strange New Worlds last season, I was like, I was looking at it, I was like, that looks, what fabric is that? I think it's neoprene, right? Because it has the way that it flexes. So finally, when I got to talk to Tony Newsom, I was like, hey, what do you remember about the uniform and how it's made? And she was like, yeah, it's and like, most of the uniforms are button off, and the way that it looks like on the show, it looks like it is a button off, but she actually said that they made it out of neoprene and it was a pullover. I was like, oh, pullover. I need to go buy neoprene and start to get to work. All right, so that's just some thoughts there, just some thoughts for you, in case you want to make your own uniform. It's better to have loved than to have lost than never to have loved it at all. Yeah, I don't know if I buy that. Like I don't know about that. In my life experience, I don't know if that's better. Johnny says, not to say that it's not right for you, but in my experience, I'm like, maybe better if I didn't know that. Johnny says, I wonder if you start brewing without the carafe to allow for the grinds to be saturated. That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, and I think that would probably be a great way to go. But maybe we'll try that next time. I gotta go play football. Soccer, understood. Have a great day. You too, Kent, man. Have a good game out there. All right, let's try. Let me readjust this camera again, because otherwise we're losing its functionality. Okay, now we've got our brew ready to go. I stopped it after another minute, but it was about 11 minutes. All right. It's kind of interesting to have a lot of coffee at hand. Now, this is the Misty Valley. The Misty Valley that we've been using for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Doesn't have as open an aroma. Definitely heavier, more bitters, not as expressive, not as enjoyable. Well, I mean, then again, we spent most of our time brewing. I'm saying all this, but we have to bear in mind that we spent most of our time brewing this coffee with the OXO and all of these soupy type of methods, so that the brew ratios are completely different. But this feels very heavy, like very like. It's not great. Temperature-wise, it's pretty darn hot. I don't know what the we could have measured the temperature, but I don't bother doing that. Maybe one day we will. But it is heavier. It is bitter, more bitter, bitterer. The bitterness is rather pronounced, which makes me wonder, like, what if we were to bypass? Let me make a little bit of hot water. We're going to try a little bypassing to see how that might change the coffee experience. Put that back in there. I turned the switch off so that the heater is not running. PowerPoint says, new Anaconda movie trailer just dropped. Ooh, looks semi-meta and goofy. Tandy Newton is always, Tandy Newton. I remember the first time I saw her in the Mission Impossible, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like sometimes for me, at least for me, I don't know, everyone has their own desires, but like, there's times you see some actors, some people, and you're like the first time I saw like, in Blade Runner 2049, the first time I saw, what's her name? Ana de Armas. I was like, oh my gosh, who is that? M0, have a good week to you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, let's see. We're going to It's even heating? Yeah, it's taking a little while. Now, I did bring some accompaniments. Went to Popeyes yesterday and got a chicken meal. So I got the biscuits. Popeyes here, if you're not too familiar, is a local, an American fried chicken joint that comes from New Orleans or at least Louisiana. So it's a Louisiana style, Southern style chicken joint, and it's one of my favorites. Like I grew up eating KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, which I still enjoy eating from time to time. But however, one of the detriments to my enjoyment of KFC is that there's none that are close by. You really have to trek to them. So, but here's their biscuit. So I thought we'd get a biscuit. Now, I grew up as a Filipino in America, so I don't really know very well some of the American foods and how they eat it. Like for me, we eat the biscuit just like this, but evidently it's supposed to be eaten with jam and butter. So I did bring some Kerrygold butter, and I got some of my jam. Now, I think traditionally or typically, when you have jam with your biscuits, you'll use like a Welch's, which is a grape jelly. So it's purple and like very grapey tasting. I don't have any of that. I just have my homemade strawberry jam that I'm almost out of in this jar. So we're going to use that and use that as our accompaniment today. You may be wondering, like, well, you eat a lot on this show, but this is actually usually the first meal of my day. Like this is typically my breakfast. All right, I've got boiling water. Water is boiling, boiling. Okay, now let us get our coffee. Pour it back in again. Let's have a quick taste just to evaluate. That was a lot. This could be, okay, so now the coffee does not have that strong bitter character that I experienced just a few moments ago. And I'm wondering, was I tasting some kind of layering effect from the brew that it hadn't done any homogenization of the coffee? Because that last sip was actually a little bit brighter, a little bit less heft. Bitterness was very dramatically unpronounced compared to the previous one. So let's see. Oh, that's actually much better. So maybe with this type of brewing, it is causing layering as the brew comes up, and maybe there are levels that are just kind of floating. So if you can find a way to cavitate your blend, your brew, it'll balance it out. That's much different, much more brighter notes, cleaner notes, not so heavy. The body I'd say now the body's more medium than heavy. Bitterness has been dramatically reduced to like very, very light levels. Maybe the top part that I was pouring from was just the last part of the brew that maybe had more bitterness coming out of it. That's quite interesting. All right, so here's our biscuit. M0 says there's an interview with Harrison Ford and the actor from the newest Blade Runner in Europe. And it's pretty funny. Oh, that's good. We'll have to check that out. Okay, so let us look here. We've got our biscuit. I should zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so if we break it open, I don't know how you like to break it open. Maybe this way. It's kind of fun. No, I have to say, this is a day-old biscuit. Like it was from last night, so it's not going to be as good as it would had it been super fresh. But you know what? A biscuit, even old, will be fine. So let's try with just a little bit of butter first. The biscuit's already very buttery, but you know, more butter is not a bad thing. Now, we're going to try it with the strawberry jam. This time we're going to go just straight up jam. Just like that. That is nice. The American South does have some nice foods. The interesting thing is that a lot of the foods that we have in the world, I think this is true around the world, that are lauded as like some of the best foods typically come from times of strife and necessity, right? Like how to make these offcuts, these cheap cuts, palatable and tasty. Because, the masters would take all the best stuff and leave the scraps to everyone else. All right, so this time we're putting some butter and some jam to make it, buttery jammy. That's pretty good. Not necessarily my favorite combination with coffee, but not bad. Not bad. For me, if I'm eating biscuits, sweet tea, or even unsweet tea, or Coca-Cola, like that would be my choice. But this is not bad. It's not bad. You know what it is? It's for me. It's like I like, especially with Coke, that phosphoric acid, that burn, that just kind of eats away at the fattiness. So Harrison's having a great time and enjoying an unscheduled whiskey. Now, the interview turns funny and less serious rapidly. It's really okay. I will check that out because a lot of times it seems with Harrison is like, I think he gets kind of grumpy. Like I do think that Harrison Ford is one of the actors that like regrets having played one of the greatest roles of his lifetime. As Han Solo. Like I think he really regrets ever playing that. I'm sure he doesn't regret the money, but like I'm sure he gets people that are just all about him being Han Solo. And he's like, I did good work in that Amish movie. In Witness, I was awesome in Witness. I was awesome in, what was it? He's been in U.S. Marshals. He's been awesome in so many movies, but it's like we only remember him in like Han Solo and maybe Indiana Jones. Although to me, I think Han Solo is the more iconic character for Harrison Ford. That and his presidential turn in Air Force One. I like him in that. He says maybe cooling off makes a difference. That could be. But yeah, that could be. I just don't know if it would be that much. I mean, it's like almost a whole different coffee. Paige says Popeye by biscuits are terrible when they're cold. I did heat these up before we started, so it's a little bit better. But this is one of those things where we're in television magic, so everything can taste good as long as you hold it, as long as you know how to make it look right. Like all those guys on those cooking shows, they're eating the food, but the food is like hours old. You're like, oh, that's not hot. That's not hot at all. So I always laugh. I always enjoy watching it because those guys are like, when did that guy make that? Keone says Lilikoi butter makes terrible biscuits. Oh, that does sound good. I haven't had that one. If you guys are not familiar, Lilikoi is known as a passion fruit and very popular in Hawaii. Actually, when I would go to Zippy's, which is a restaurant, like kind of the Denny's of Hawaii, especially back in the old days, man, I used to order what I would order was like Some days when I really felt like I was in the groove, I would get the roasted chicken mini plate, which is basically like fried chicken thighs. But they in Zippy's Hawaii, they don't. You know how the thigh has two pieces? There's the bone and then the plate. They don't put the plate. They cut the plate off, so you just have the bone. I would get the chicken mini pack, so 2 pieces of chicken with French fries, and then I would get the chili cheese. So they have, Zippy's has this chili that's super popular in Hawaii. Chili rice with cheddar cheese and onions, chopped onions, and then I would put lots of Tabasco. And then on top of all that, I would get the jumbo lilikoi, the biggest lilikoi juice, which is like all sugar. It's a horrible thing to drink. Like, it's terrible. This is why obesity is so rampant in Hawaii. But man, that's my meal. Like, if I go to Zippy's, that's the first thing I'm buying. Like, that's when I go to Honolulu, like when I arrive in Honolulu, there's usually 2 places I will either go to, right? Depending on the time, depending on the accessibility. If there's still time there, it's not 4 o'clock or whatever, I will go straight from the Honolulu airport to Helena's Hawaiian Foods and buy the pipikalo short ribs and rice. And that's all that. Maybe some poi and maybe some poke and then you get the haupia with it, right? Perfect meal. If they're closed, or if it's like a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and they're not even open at all those days, then it's to Zippy's for the fried chicken and chili. And now, in modern times, if you go there, so back in the day, you couldn't get the chili and chicken together. Like, that just didn't exist. But I guess so many people have bought it over the years that they just finally, at least sometime in the last 15 years, they created the chili chicken plate. And it's like, oh, perfect. Chili chicken plate, 2 scoops of rice, and a side of fries. And now just a small lilikoi. Paige says, I think Momoa did a collab with the YouTube Jolly guys at Zippy's. Oh, I'm going to go look that up today. That sounds very good. The power plant, that was Paige says, that was my favorite collab episode they've done. It was pure chaos. I have to look this up. YouTube Jolly guys. I'm not even familiar with that name. But Jason Momoa. I wonder if Jason likes coffee. Maybe we can reach out to him and be like, hey, Jason, would you like to be on the live stream and talk about coffee? Uh-oh. My mom is calling. Let's see what mom says. Okay. All right. It is 11:15. So, PowerPoint says they are the team behind the Korean Englishman channel. I have not seen that either. It's terrible. I mean, I'm such a bad YouTuber. I don't know these things. Jenna says, next time you go to Zippy's, mix the mac salad with the chili. Oh, I've never done that. Usually the mac salad is on the side with more Tabasco. Here's the thing. Like, I know a lot of people love the sriracha. I'm not a sriracha fan. Give me the Tabasco. And here's the thing. Like, if I go to like a local food place, like a Hawaiian plate lunch place, or what they call Hawaiian barbecue on the mainland, and all they have is sriracha, I'll use it. But I'm definitely not happy because it's like sriracha is a California-made product. Like, it's not whatever they say it is. But here's the thing. And of course, Tabasco's a Louisiana-made product. But what I like about the Tabasco versus anything else, or at least versus the sriracha, is the vinegar base. That acidic base cuts through it, and you're just like, you don't get that with sriracha. You just get like this strange like spice. Like, it's fine. Jolly is 2 British dudes, Josh and Ollie. Oh, that's funny. that travel all over trying foods local to where they are. Oh, all right, that sounds cool. They used to bring people to Korea to get reactions from them. So the jolly guy, the British guys would bring people to Korea. Oh, interesting. A bit cringe now, but popular at the time. Oh, so it's been a while since it came out. Okay. All right. I will look that up. The jolly British dudes go to Zippies. All right. I should run now. So, hope you have a wonderful day out there. Thank you very much for tuning in and hanging out with me. I always appreciate that. It's very much an honor for me that you spend the time and make the time here. But we're back again. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We will not be back tomorrow because tomorrow I have so much to get done and I have to run. I think I might even have to run to Philadelphia tomorrow. So, back again on Friday where we will return with more coffee Q&A. So, until then, hope you have a wonderful day and see you next time.